What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Capsule. We have the hostess with the mostess, Jenny Lou, in the place. For those of you that were at Juste Debout or in a 10-mile radius, you would have heard her.
If you were in London.
Yeah, if you were anywhere within the blast radius, you would have heard Jenny's voice for the majority of the day. We're going straight into Juste Debout, and should we start with the fact that Rory absolutely leveled the room?
Oh my God. I mean, Rory and Javan.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. But it was just Rory that finished the round. But yeah, it was a whole build-up.
That whole round went like this the whole time. It was just like... Yeah. As
a good round should. So for those that don't know, Juste Debout UK happened yesterday.
Sunday?
Last Sunday. Sorry, yesterday when we were recording, last Sunday for anyone listening. So we're going to talk about it a little bit. So for people that don't know, Juste Debout is one of the biggest dance competitions on the planet, or was up until 5 years ago when it stopped because of COVID.
It was like the first event that got shut down.
Yeah, because it's early in the year.
Yeah, it was in March. So it was like they did the prelims and then the next day was supposed to be the stadium.
Yeah.
And then that's like the day that they shut everything down in France. So
yeah, so Juste Debout has like prelims all over the world. So they do a tour where they go around and all the winners of the qualifiers go to Paris. So then when half of the people basically got to Paris and it got shut down. And then it was basically 5 years before it came back. I'm sure it caused a lot of like internal issues and like there was all different ways of trying to bring it back. And this is the first year that the kind of traditional format is back. So we had Juste Debout UK yesterday. We qualified our champions who are going to go to Paris. And it was an eventful day. As we were talking about, Rory and Javan won the house category.
Yeah.
Tijo, the DJ.
Incredible.
He's a house dancer.
Yeah.
A really good house dancer.
Yeah.
And a really good house DJ. He killed it the whole day. I think the house music was the best music of the day for me.
Yeah.
One thing, okay, here is my strong
hot take.
No, not even a hot take. It's more of a rant.
Okay.
It's more of a grind your gears type of thing. Didier, is that how you say it? Tijo. He made me realize that how do I phrase this? Like, I'm sick of DJs who don't love music DJing, right? And I'm making a little bit of a like presumption, but also am I? Because the way Didier played the whole day, I don't know if he prefers to be called that or Tijo, but the way he played the whole day was like not like someone that wanted to play music for battles. It was like a DJ that just loved music and was like, I'm so hyped to show you these bangers, and to like the whole room was into it. And like when music is good, it's good. I think, in my opinion, it's like there's not a like, oh, but I'm not really into house music, or like Sev. After that round, when they played that song, Sev was like, oh, I didn't realize you were into house music. And I was like, I'm just into good music. Like when a song is good enough, if it's funk, if it's country, like whatever it is, it's like, if it's good, I think a lot of people will be like into it, especially in an environment like a battle where it's like the song, not only like the songs and the crowd are vibing, but like there's someone dancing to it. And like that, I mean, that specific song that he played for Rory and Jev's round was just delicious. But yeah, it felt like he was playing in a way that he like loves music. And I think one thing that I feel a lot from DJs in the battle scene is like, I feel it when they do love music, but then there's ones that just it's like they're just playing for the sake of playing, or playing because they want to play for dancers, or what the dancers might want to hear, or this and that. And it's like if you love music, you stand behind the songs that you love, you take risks, you just play shit that's like culturally relevant, or you know, might not be the typical thing, but just in the moment it works because you know and love music so much that that's what drives you. And when it's almost like when you're digging for the songs, like I can imagine Tijo like digging for the songs, finding it, and him just being like, oh shit, that's a banger. And it's like some DJs, I'm like, did you just click on that song and go, yeah, I guess that works for hip hop and play it or whatever, you know. And I'm not necessarily talking about the other DJs at Juste Debout UK. Like DJ Stu is like, he's a great guy and I love him as well. And like the other ones are cool as well. But like, I'm just talking about general wider context. I was like, there's moments that happen, like Joseph Wu from Germany, Joseph Wu maybe, Wu, W-U. Like he's someone that like when I first heard him play, like this is years ago, I was like, oh, this guy is like, he's just into music. Like the whole day has a sound. Like, it's like, you can tell this day is like curated to his taste. And it's like, that's what a DJ should be when they're playing a set in a club, when they're playing a set wherever. It's like, you love music and you're sharing that with us. And it just so happens that we can also dance.
Yeah. And I think like that's what makes, you know, the big not the big difference, but like you can really tell like when you have it, like how much it lifts the room and how much it it kind of does a lot of the work for the dancers, for the host, for like the energy of the room. And I think also it's like, again, I'm not like taking digs at people, but sometimes it's like you can hear the way certain DJs play that is kind of like, oh, all right, like these are the obvious tracks that play in every single battle that are, you know, like
if you've got your songs from another battle, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, I mean, like I think it's fine to play like some classics, you know, and like to bring back some kind of bangers. Yeah, so like some tracks that are like you know are gonna go, but it's more about getting a reaction than being like, oh, this is a song that I heard on a YouTube video of another battle. Yeah, but sometimes it is a bit like samey, you know, of just like always the same songs being on rotation. So I think like this is actually a thing that I find with like whacking a lot. That it's like the same songs all the time. I wonder if that's also like because especially in mixed style events, there's like we often will have, this is like a worldwide issue, like if there's mixed style events where you have whacking, popping, locking, breaking, you'll have a DJ that kind of is like a popping-y funk maybe DJ, and they also play whacking. Like those styles that are smaller, they'll be like, oh, we'll just get the popping DJ to play for whacking. So then that popping DJ just goes, oh, here's the same 7 songs. You know what I mean? Like when I went to like, you know, like Bagsy's Work the Floor or like some of these other like whacking specialist events, it's like you hear like different songs and good songs. But I think it's like when it's like not a whacking DJ playing for whacking, they just go, oh, what is the ones that aren't going to get me in trouble? Like no one's gonna boo. It's like, all right, you've danced to this 7 times, but you're like, it's acceptable as a a whacking song, I guess. But you go on. No, you go. No, I have another rant. So you're tired of that and you love Tijo. Yeah, I love Tijo. I'm sick of DJs that are playing that, or that I feel like they don't love music the way that they play. But also, the next rant of the day is, I don't want to ever hear again that audiences at battles are dead. Now, here is why. Because when Kane and Malonzo and Ty and Quake battled, everybody was up off their feet. When Rory and Jev battled, everybody was up off their feet. Why? Because the music was good and the dancers were good. And the host was good. And the host was there. And what pisses me off is when people are like, oh, the crowd are dead. Oh, no one's making noise. No one's supporting. We as dancers are performers, okay? Whether or not you like it, when you put someone in front of an audience, they're a performer, okay? We're performers. Stop blaming the crowd when the performers are not engaging the crowd. If there was a video of Ice Spice when she first came out, and she did a festival and she wasn't a great performer and the crowd were dead, no one goes, oh, the festival crowds aren't giving her support. No, it's her job. That's what she's paid for. Half of the job is make the music. Half of the job is perform it and tour it. Some of the best artists in the world have amazing shows and they practice and they learn to perform and engage a crowd. They learn stagecraft. And as well as that, they learn to make music that hits a crowd, right? Dancers are similar in the sense that, well, we have to work with the DJ. It's the DJ's responsibility to play songs that get the crowd up. And when Tijo played that banger, everybody was like bopping in their chair, right? And then
when the dancers are good and know how to engage a crowd or know how to dance well, the crowd get up and they cheer and they scream and everyone gets excited and it perfectly matches. So I'm sick of this thing of like, oh, the crowd was dead. First of all, the crowd have been there since the beginning of the day, right? So they're tired. It's not the most like, in any event, it's not the most like comfortable seat. And I've said this so many times. Second of all, especially, let's say Juste Debout UK, let's say 60% of the crowd are people that didn't get through prelims.
Yeah.
So it's like when you see a battle happening, you're like, oh, why aren't they making noise? Like, well, they probably tried to get into that position and didn't. They're not the ideal target demographic for this battle, right? But also it's like everybody goes crazy when there's good music and good movement. And it's like, it's not the crowd's responsibility to just generate hype out of nowhere. It's the dancers' ability, the dancers' responsibility and the DJ's responsibility to do a good job together to create a moment. And that can't happen every round. It just can't. And some places are more inclined to react. They're more primed to react to even a tiny moment. They'll get up and jump. Some crowds are like notoriously more difficult, like London crowd, Paris crowd. It's a little bit harder. But when there's a moment, no matter who you are, it could be in the prelims. If there's a moment, there's a moment. Like the lockers that were in the prelims yesterday got everyone going. Yeah. And it's like, good song, good movement, and it happens. So I just hate when people just blame the crowd as if it's their responsibility to just shout and scream for anyone that walks up. It's like, that's not, especially not on a 12-hour day. It's not going to happen. If I'm there for an hour, I'll be polite. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's like, it's really interesting because I think it's like, I think there's so many different components that create like a hype moment, you know, and I think it's like there's a bunch of different little things that have their part of responsibility in it to like create that peak moment. And of course, through an event, you're going to have like, it can't always be on
10,
on 11. But like, I was like thinking of this, like, as I was hosting yesterday, and I'm still learning as well. And like, I'm not that experienced either. So I'm kind of thinking of like, right, the same way that you want a round to go like this, we were talking about, for me, it's like, okay, you also want the event to go like this. And, you know, even as, like, so for sure the music and the dancers are like super important, and like kind of, you know, even like the flow of the day, how you're keeping on time, like from an organizational point of view, so that like even if the day is like inevitably long.
Inevitably.
Yeah, sure. That word. It's like long, but then it's kind of like having the right amount of breaks and, you know, all
the right music in the breaks.
The right music in the breaks. Like all of these things play a part in like the audience getting ready to be hype when it's time to be hype, you know. And I was kind of thinking about it of like I know that I come on strong and that like I have like not a lot of energy, but I really try to like have that going through the day and kind of always like raise up the excitement and the energy. But for me, it's kind of like, oh, because if there's a hype moment that happens, like if you're already hype at this level, there's like less of a distance to go. Then if people are quiet and then I let it be quiet, then even when something happens that's hype, it's going to go here instead of going here if I let it drop throughout the day too much. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know, this is theoretically in my head how it works, but like the more I keep it hype, the more when something hype happen is going to be even hyper because people are already like are already disposed or kind of open to the hypeness. Yeah,
or if you, the alternative, the devil's advocate is like, if you let me rest, I have more hype for you. You know what I mean? If I'm always like shouting and screaming, I'm like, by the time the finals, I need a nap.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I think naturally, I'm not necessarily asking people to like scream and whatever the whole time, but it's more like to kind of keep that energy lifted throughout the day.
Yeah.
So I'm not making this about, well, I did make it about myself.
That's so fine.
But the point is not to make it about me, but it's just like to kind of all these little things for me, like the hosting, the music, the performers, what happened throughout the day, how long it is, like how kind of also you keep on building a certain momentum. Like all of these things help to create that atmosphere and that like hypeness for the audience. But also I think culturally, like, you know, British people are more reserved. Like they tend to be less expressive of their appreciation outwardly than like North Americans, Canadians.
Definitely. But it's also why it's like it doesn't work to force us to be the way that we're not. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, like the past few events that I've been in the last year of like, it did get hype. You know, and it's not that it can't. It's just you have to like put the right. It's like it's not engineering because it happens naturally, but it's like there needs to be some degree of conscious decision making that creates those moments. Because if you just leave it entirely up to like, oh, it's organic and it just happens when it happens and it's natural, well then you're really just relying on luck. And
no, but you need to like create the right circumstances for moments to happen.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, this is a thing, and as like event producers or like even people that are entering battles or all of these things, it's like you need to create the circumstance, so you can't just leave it up to chance.
No, exactly.
Like you need to, because also if you want to be able to do it every time you have an event, you want to like build that reputation, you want to build that like that size. It's like, you know, obviously like Summer Dance understood something and how to create like the hype and the energy of an event. Like even just the like disposition of the room, you know, at Summer Dance, the fact that it's all like this as opposed to like on a stage like
but
this.
But also Summer Dance is one style per evening.
Yeah, but
so it's like when this is my biggest fix for all the, and it's sometimes not possible, but it's like when you do less in a day, Joe is one style. Like Joe is one of the like most like crazy hype events I've ever been to. Right?
Yeah. Also, because Montreal people are crazy.
Because Montreal people are great. However, I wonder if that they would be as hype if they were fitting 4 styles in a day and everyone was there from 9 a.m. and this was like midnight and things were running late and they were bright. Like when you do one, and this is what, you know, they do great with Joe, is like when you just show up at like 7 p.m., the event finishes at like 9 or 10 and then you have an after party. It's like, I've got all the energy in the world for you for one start, but not for, you know, 4 prelim, 5 prelims, you know, whatever the event is. Like it's a lot for people, and it's like, it's, you can't, I don't know, it's just like you can't blame the crowd for not screaming and shouting.
For sure. But it was hype. Like I think, the 2 hypest moments had to be like Quake and Titan versus Kane and Milazzo, and then
Rory and Jeff. Yeah, in the semis.
Yeah. It's too bad. It never happens in the final, but I feel like these moments are always like but they happen at random.
But it's like creating those. It's the circumstances thing, because the finals, you're tired. Like people have given a lot already. They've got less to give. Like in terms of moves, routines, whatever. Sometimes it happens in the finals when it's like really, you know, and it's also like it's always going to be random, because it's like it depends what the DJ plays, how the dancers react to it. It's like it just could be the top 8, and it just like is a crazy. But that's what I love about it. For me, that's like the magic of the battle stuff. Is like, you know, I spoke about this with someone yesterday, and I've spoken about it so many times on the podcast, but it's like, it's as a dancer, it's like, I'm not going to remember how many battles you won. I'm not going to remember which one. I'm not going to remember even who won the battles, but I'm going to remember the people that made me like feel something. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's what will carry you way longer, especially in an artistic, you know, even if we're talking business, like that will carry you further with like getting guest spots or judge spots. The more you can like make people remember you and stand out. But it's just as a general like way of approaching dance, it's like, what are we here for? Like if you're trying to make a living, cool. And yes, this is a competitive pursuit, but like the people that make you feel something, that's all the judge demos that we remember are the ones that made us feel something. All the moments that get the crowd hype, or that we remember, or that we go back and watch. We don't only go and say, who's the winner, I'm watching that. Like if the finals are hype, the finals are hype, but it's like, it's more about the route. It's the art, even though we're in a competition format. And it's, I think so many people get lost in the, I need to win, as opposed to I need to like be remembered. You know what I mean? And I think that's, for me, it's an adjustment that will like help a lot of people to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it was a great event. Had a great time.
Yeah.
And
happy Juste Debout is back.
Yeah.
One thing I will say.
Oh.
No, not one thing. This is the third thing I will say.
Oh.
It's like my third rant in the first 20 minutes. Okay. Here is, and tell me your thoughts. Here is my thing. I feel like there are a lot of dancers who hit the musicality of a song, but are offbeat. And here is what I mean by that. So I think music, or I don't think, this is fact. Music is built on rhythm, right? Dance is built on rhythm. Rhythm is the intersection, the middle of the Venn diagram between music and dance. A lot of people don't see that because it's like not hidden, but they're just looking across at the music, right? And they're going, oh, there's this tap tap, or there's this boop boop there, or whatever. And I think the best, you see it when you see people like, is it Dai or D? I don't know how to pronounce his name. Dai. He was there when like you see someone like Yugson do like a house, or even he did a hip hop demo last year at Beyond the Moves, and that shows it. But like when you see really good dancers, it's like they're on the music in the sense that they're taking little parts of it. I mean, a lot of the Serial Steppers guys are great examples of this, but like they're taking little parts of the music. They're taking the sounds and the different moments, but what they're doing is they're sitting on different rhythms within the track. And like if every track has like a internal metronome, I guess, like there's this click track that would have been behind the track when the producer made it. And the dancer first situates themselves on that tempo and then builds little rhythms. And you'll see house dancers do it where it's just a but they're playing like 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and da 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 da. And it's like there's no sounds, but they're using the rhythms. And it's almost like if you don't understand rhythm, it looks random, but it's not. Do you know what I mean? And I think what happens is you see these dancers who will they'll be bang on like the sound or the cha-cha-cha. And then they go back to their bounce and their bounce is offbeat, or they're rushing, or they're trying to double time their bounce and they can't, and they lose the timing of it because it's like your internal metronome is off, but your ability to like listen and pick out moments is there. And there's two sides. You see people who are amazing at that type of thing, like Kefton or whoever, that pull out like really subtle moments from the track, and you think, oh, that's all there is to it. But there's like a bigger, deeper layer underneath, which is the metronome, the internal like native bounce or tempo of the track, and then building on the rhythms within that, which the music is also built on. So if you build your dance with it, there'll be moments when you can take that 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4 because there's something happening. But if there's nothing happening, you can still take that rhythm because it exists around that tempo. I don't know if that makes sense. And I think this is what I start to see a lot, especially with some of the young, I mean, if you're young, it's quite a mature skill to build. So I get it. But it's like you're hitting all the music, but you're offbeat. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Also, it's like, I mean, not that when I was dancing, I was ever like known for my amazing musicality. So like, take it or leave it. But for me, it's like the way I like see musicality is like, you know, like you say, you have like an underlying pulse or beat, or like, I guess it would be like a waveform. And then you have like kind of more complex rhythm. And then you have like things that you can draw in between. And then you have like different accents in the music of just like, different sounds or effects or more like little trinkets.
Sure.
But for me, it's like, I feel like a lot of the approach to musicality is like how many of those things you can grab and pick onto. For me, musicality is like the ability to go in between those things.
Yeah.
So musicality is like your ability to ride this, but then catch that and then come back to like
without breaking.
In a different rhythm. So it's like the ability to travel between the layers as opposed to just catching the top, like as opposed to just eating the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's like, in a way, because like when you're able to ride that, like, you know, to ride the different levels, it's like maybe what gets the attention or what gets a wow moment is that little thing that you grab because people didn't see it coming because you were riding the other thing.
Yeah.
So that's what makes that moment special. But I can understand how, like, from the outside, if you don't necessarily yet have that understanding of the different layers, it's like, oh, well, I just have to grab that little effect to be hype and to kind of do well. So I think that, you know, that's partly what happens in the appeal of, you know, catching like specific accents in a song and just relying on that because it gets hype. But I think, you know, at one point, like, that becomes very predictable.
Yeah, you know what? My best analogy for this is like, that you're gonna hate, is like a sports thing where it's like,
I don't hate sports.
where it's like, the thing that gets the highlight reel is the dunk or the goal in football. It's the guy like smashing it from just outside the penalty box and like scoring, right? And then it's like a kid picking up a football and just sprint, like having 11 guys or 10 guys with him and sprinting towards the goal and just trying to kick a fucking goal in, or like try and dunk the ball in basketball. When it's like, what you're missing is that the reason that dunk happened is because of good teamwork. There was good defense. They played a set and did this, and then it ended with the dunk. But that dunk doesn't happen without good, solid understanding of the game. And I think it's like what you're saying. It's like that moment that got everyone hyped wasn't just because they picked that sound. It was the build up and the way that they understood the music, and then that was just again, it's like a cake doesn't taste nice because of the icing.
Yeah,
it's like it tastes nice and the icing helps.
Yeah,
but like, not if it's just a plate of icing. It's like, what's the point, you know?
Yeah, you're gonna get diabetes.
Yes,
get your leg cut off, not be able to dance anymore.
There you go. So don't eat cake is the moral of the story. Anyway, but besides, so that was just an observation I have made over the last few events. But it was cool to have Juste Debout UK back. It's really interesting also because it's been 5 years since Juste Debout was here. Like, there is people that have been dancing less than 5 years.
Yeah.
So like, they're all like doing freestyle less than 5 years. So they wouldn't even have remembered when Juste Debout was around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, for me, it's like, that was always like a staple. Like, yeah, it's like however many years. It's been going since 2002.
Yeah.
And I've been around since 2006. I heard about it. So 2007 was when I was kind of more around. But it's like, for me, it's like a staple in the scene. But for some people, it's like, they're like, oh, Juste Debout, what's this thing?
Yeah, but also, you know, and I mean, okay, I've been here for like 9 years now. But, you know, even from when you used to see it before and when you see it now, like yesterday I was looking at it and just, you know, even the people that used to be like, oh, these are the people that are going to be at Juste Debout. Like, there's going to be not Bruce. I mean, Bruce is still there. Like, Brooke and Dixon and like Marvel and Briggs and like, even like, I mean, Frankie is still around and dancing, but it's like,
it's a whole change of generation.
Yeah, it's a whole like new wind of people. And I was just like so excited, you know, of like seeing kind of not a new generation, but seeing like the younger, I mean, they're not young, they're like adults, but you know,
so young,
like Kane, Malonzo, Quake, Rory, like it's so dope, you know. And I was like, I think one of them shared like it might have been Rory's reel, but it was like, oh, it's our time now. Yeah. And I was just like, yeah, it is, you know. Yeah. And they're killing it and they're doing so good and they're so dope. Like, yeah, I just think it's exciting, and they're just kind of building like their own generation and their own you know, group of people that are doing really well and going out and representing. And so I think it's so exciting, and I just love them. You guys are so good.
Yeah, agreed.
I sound like a mom. I'm like, I'm so proud of you. I'll be cheering from the stands. And I'll have a sandwich for you if you're hungry after.
Bring out the orange slices.
Yeah, real Chinese.
Is that a Chinese thing?
Yeah.
It's like a soccer mum thing.
Is
They
it?
bring the orange slices at halftime.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. My Chinese grandma used to always cut orange.
She was just a normal grandma, but you're thinking it's a Chinese thing.
Yeah, my white grandma never did that.
Fair. It was only the Chinese one.
Yeah.
So now everything she does is a Chinese to you. Fair.
Who knows? Only China will tell.
Sure. Any other things from Juste Debout?
Any other things from Juste Debout?
Can I be honest?
No.
Can I be honest?
Nope.
That moment of Rory, like this is what happens to me so much, and I'm such a, you had your mum moment, but this is me like just being such a sentimental loser. But like that moment of Rory, like legit nearly made me cry.
Is it?
Like I was like teary, like I was on the verge. I was like, if this goes on for much longer, I'm gonna need to wipe my eyes, and then everyone's gonna think I'm a loser. But like, I think there's a whole mix of things for me. But it's like, I think obviously there's you know the amount of, I mean, this is like a current trending topic in my life, but like the amount of work and shit that I put into the capsule and on behalf of this scene that I believe in is like, when I see stuff like that, I'm like, that's why I'm up till 2 a.m. because of that shit, you know? And this is what I'm so excited to like share with the world and promote and platform, is like these moments. But also it's like I think there's like a thing of the still, like Max spoke about this at the sharing a little bit about the magic, like you lose the magic over time. Like you see waves enough times, you know you know how they work, the mechanics of them, so you don't get as like impressed by them. And you like there's something like the first time I ever saw, and it wasn't even someone famous, it was just my friend Mus like doing a wave, and I was like, what is that? And then like seeing Salah for the first time, I was like, like holy shit, like his head is moving separate to like there's, and that feeling goes away so quickly. You get so used to dance and how good it is, because you're, especially when you're around, like, not saying this in a like I'm fucking cool, but like I'm kind of cool, but like when you're around like some of the best dancers in the world and you hang out with them or you see them, it's like I like, you know what I mean? It's like you watch Sunny warm up doing head spins, you know, oh cool, like it kind of
you get jaded, but you kind of you take it for granted.
Yeah, you're just like,
oh, okay, yeah, cool, you did that. What else? Okay, but what about that? Like,
and also it's just like you see it so many times. It's like, oh yeah, cool, I understand that head spins are possible. I've seen Karam do so many, or you know. And then when you see a moment like that, where I had never heard the song before, it's the song fucking, as you were saying, touched my fucking soul.
Yeah.
And then the dancer killed it and the room blew up because of it. It's like those moments don't happen all the time. And when they do, it's like that's the magic that I lost from the beginning of dance, you know, like the stuff that I've got taken for granted. It's like, I can't find that if I wanted to look for it. Like I can't, there's no dancer that I can say, oh, do that move and that will be magic. It's like, it doesn't, I've seen all the dancers do all the moves. Like there's no manufactured magic anymore. It's only the organic magic.
Yeah.
And it's like when you see like Umu's judge demo, I mean, I watch it on YouTube, but like moments like that, Rory killing it with that, and Jev with that, like, the routine and the round. It's like those moments, it's like you cannot manufacture them. So it's like when they happen, it's like I fucking saw a leprechaun, you know? I'm just like, fuck, it just makes me so like, there's the magic, there's the shit that I've been looking for. And it's like, it's still here after 17 years. Like it still exists. And it's like, and then it goes and it's gone. And then I show people, even the video, you know, of Rory went like somewhat dance viral, but it's still not the same. Like I sent it to my friends and they were like, whoa, that's amazing. And I'm like, but it's still not the same as being in the room. Like that moment is like, you have to have been there to feel it. And it's like, that's, for me, is like, that's why you get out of bed to go get dressed and go to a dance event. That's why you participate in these like underground things. That's why you're in cyphers. It like, it's finding that magic in the scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And also I think it's like amazing to witness, like, you know, I think different dancers are gonna have that at different times in their lives, but also it's like, because Rory is, I mean, how old is he? Like 20?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I feel like because he's been around for a long time, and he was like, I mean, he always had a lot of potential, and he was always really good.
Yeah. We had him on the pod, like when he was like 14.
Yeah. Nonsense.
15?
Yeah,
I think he was like 15.
that.
He was like Maisie's age.
Yeah.
And we had him on the pod. Yeah.
But it's just kind of like, also there's something so satisfying and beautiful in like seeing someone who's like realizing their potential.
Yeah.
You know, and like, oh, you know, there's a lot of people that have, you know, a lot of potential, but then, you know, life happens. Sometimes you know, sometimes it's like things take different direction, but I really feel like he's been on like gaining momentum, and it's like snowballing. So yeah, I think that moment is also like in his come up of just like, oh, they're like, he's touching it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is also, I think, like part of it.
Yeah.
In a way. And yeah, it's like Javan, like for me, this is the thing. Javan did like just as good. His run was dope, but it's like we've seen him more. He's more established. Like there's an expectation. Like you see him and then you expect.
But this is the thing for me with Jev is like Jev. When I see Jev in that same battle, it's like Rory was like magic, but like Jev is like an assassin. Like I love, like,
oh my God,
that's something different that I love. And it's like the feeling I get from like people like Sunny when I watch him battle, or there's a few others where it's just like Silk's last round in the pop-in, I was like, I felt it, but it's like assassin mode. It's like they step out and it's like, you're in the water with a shark. Get out, like get back to the boat as soon as you can. Like you just see a look in someone's eyes, and it's like I feel a way about like watching someone like Jev do that. Yeah, it's not the same. Like Rory's was like a elated feeling. Jev's was like, oh, so I'm gonna see a murder today, and it's I love seeing that shit.
Yeah, no, Jev is like, how can you be so smooth and so hard at the same time? Like, you know, he's like so effortless, but like also really like sharp and explosive. Yeah. It was, and I feel like they have their physical language really complements each other. I mean, they're not like they dance different, but they also have a lot of like shared qualities in their movement. But I think they're just such a good team. Yeah, that's like,
I think they're
really on the same wavelength, but they also bring something different to each other. Yeah. I
think a good partnership should like balance each other out.
I'm so rooting for you. Win it, take it home. Take it home.
But yeah, also please keep that partnership and build on it.
Come on the capsule. They should come report back from Paris.
Oh yeah, do it.
I'm inviting you, even if it's not my show.
You can host that pod then.
Yeah, I can host anything.
And set up the equipment and film it.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Except you do that part.
Okay, cool. That's
Except I don't want to touch any wires.
Okay. Yeah. Overall, great day. The videos are going to be up on the Capsules YouTube.
Jeez.
We are also available to hire for event coverage. The live stream. Oh, we have to talk about the live stream before we move on. The live stream
gave
chat.
You life.
The chat was fucking. I get it. I get streaming now. Like I already got it. Like Kai Cenat and all these guys. Like, God, that was so fucking funny. So we did the live stream. So basically, I filmed on my camera the battles like I normally would, but I also set up a GoPro with my laptop and just streamed it live because there was a capacity to the event. Not a lot of people could get in. So I was like, all right, for people that aren't able to come, even just because of scheduling or whatever, I'll do a live stream, right? So I did the live stream, and on YouTube, you know, there's the chat on the side. First of all, we had a lot of people tune in for the live stream, so that is awesome. At one point, there was like 580 people watching at one time, which is crazy. And there was like a good amount of people watching on YouTube for the rest of the event. So if you guys want me to do that more, please tell your event organizer. It's really easy for me to set up. I can do it alongside or instead of filming the battles, but you got to talk to the event organizer because they need to reach out to me.
They need to ask.
But yeah, so and it seemed really popular. And then there was a concentrated group of people who were locked the fuck in the chat. So, oh my God, like, yeah, Mr. Burns, the General, Lee of Capsule fame.
Was he
Lee was in the chat, yeah. Candyman from Paris. Who else was there? Sage was there, or I think he's changed his name now. Hip hop dancer from Germany. He was there for a little bit, but there was a couple of randoms, I'm going to call them, who were very expressive, but I'm not sure quite who they were, and there was some dubious things said.
Okay,
which we're not going to go into. But yeah, the people that were in the chat there was sometimes when I like couldn't film properly because I was laughing so much at some of the stuff people were saying, not about the dances necessarily, but just about like moments that happened, or they'd point things out that like no one else saw, or they'd be responding to each other in the chat, and it was just absolutely fucking hilarious. One thing that I have to tell the story of is like when we came back from the hour break, we started streaming again for the judge demos. And when I turned on the camera, I didn't realize, but the battery was low. So it came up with a 4% battery left on the GoPro, but it came up on the, like usually the screen is just blank, but it came up as an indicator. So everyone on the stream could see that it said 4%. And I didn't notice at first. So I'm filming with my other camera and I look at the chat and it's like hashtag save the camera. Like just so many comments about like the camera's about to die. Someone grab it quick, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like typing back to them going, guys, like, because the judge demos are like mid swing. So I'm like, guys, I'm gonna change it as soon as the judge demos are done. Thinking they're gonna do one round each. The judges did a 15-minute demo, right? They did like 4 rounds each. So I'm sweating going, oh my God, this GoPro is gonna die. And I'm trying to film with the other camera. So I'm like fucking and then the GoPro battery is in the bottom of my bags and I'm trying to get it out while filming, while not knocking the table. And meanwhile, everybody's like making jokes in the chat and I'm laughing so hard. They were like, this 4% is lasting longer than my phone on 100%, all this type of thing. And then I had to eventually change it mid-judge demos, and then people were just making jokes the whole way through because the screen went black while I was doing it and they were making jokes. And then for the rest of the event, people kept bringing up the 4%. Like if a dancer looked tired, they were like, oh, he's on 4% battery or something like that. Or like, Candyman was like, oh, I've got to go after the lock-in finals. And everyone was like, Candyman, where are you going? Where are you going? And he was like, sorry guys, I've only got 4% left. And then I can't remember who started it, the locked in thing, but I think it was either the General or I think it was the General. He's a dude from Birmingham, he's a hip hop dancer. But he put in the chat like, yo, you got to be locked in, like everyone lock in. And then just every now and they were like hyping the chat. They were like before the battles, like, like you're hosting. Yeah. It's like they were hosting the live stream. It was before the battle started, they were like, all right, guys, is everyone locked in? Like put an L if you're locked in. And then you just see the chat go L, 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 L. And it's like, they would be like asking, they were like, yo, shout out the DJ, like put this emoji if you love the DJ. And then just you see all the everyone was like getting involved. So it's like every time someone would say something, they're like, oh, you're not locked in. Like someone like Tally joined the chat and she was like, all right, where are we at? And I was like, Tally, you got to be locked in. And then everyone's like, Tally, lock in. Or like, someone random would ask a question like, oh, what's happening in this part? And they were like, clearly not locked in. Yeah. But it was just, I was dying the whole day. It was really funny. I want to do that more often. That actually made my day. Usually I would have the mic, but I kind of liked it typing back to them as well. Yeah. That was cool. But yeah, anyway, shout out everyone in the chat. Shout out the 4% GoPro battery that lasted us an entire year. That was a great, funny chat. You went to New York.
I went to New York.
Came back. Did a residency. Did a breaking convention residency, then did another residency. Yes. Can you tell me all about it?
Yes. So I went to New York for ISPA, which is a conference. ISPA stands for International Society of Performing Arts. And basically, I applied this summer to become a fellow for the UK.
I love that word fellow because it's so funny.
I know. I'm part of the fellowship of the ring, but ISPA. The
ISPA ring.
Yeah, the Performing Arts Ring Fellowship. Anyways. So basically that, like, I'm a fellow for the next 3 years. Mm-hmm. So that means that I get support from ISPA and the Arts Council to be able to attend the conference that's in New York every year.
Yeah.
And basically, it's so interesting because, you know, I think coming from the hip hop world and all of that, I wasn't necessarily that familiar with like the wider performing arts and theater, like touring, kind of more like theater work industry. So there's these events that happen, and there are conferences with like, you know, panel discussions and like keynote speakers and blah, blah, blah. But it's really like, I mean, some panels and conversations are really interesting. Some are less interesting. But it's like really just an excuse to network. You know, it's like most people go there to meet people more than to go for the actual talk. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, like the talks are great, but I think it's like a real opportunity for people to get together and to meet with people who work in the arts across the whole world.
Yeah.
So
sometimes you just need an excuse to like bring people together. It's like a games night with friends. You're not really there to play games. Like, you're there to chill with your friends.
Yeah, and it's like, I think there are like, you know, like it's interesting to hear like in those panel discussions and those conversations are great in the sense that like you get to hear different perspectives around like curating leadership and like what does that mean. And then, you know, like, yeah, so you know, let's say like organizations in Asia, in the US, like what are the problems and things that they're facing, or what are the things that they're doing. But it's really an amazing opportunity just to meet, different like producers, artistic directors, artists as well, independent artists, some that have companies, different people that are in different organizations. And, you know, I think it's like, I'm still at the beginning of my career, and I really feel like sometimes we underestimate like the value of a network and how much time and effort it takes to build one. And, you know, it works similarly in the street dance world, where it's like, oh, when you start going to events and you get to know people, then you find out where the sessions are, and then somebody asks you to do Juste Debout with them, and then you enter and then you win, and But it works the same in like professional context, where you go, you meet people, you have a chat, you find out you're aligned in like what you want to do, you start a project together, you like, then there's opportunities to collaborate on different things, then they want to like, they become familiar with your work. Like it's just a way to be out there and to connect with different people, which like eventually the goal is for it to, or not the goal, but it's like the goal is to connect, but
you're like building a career around.
Exactly. And it's like, I think the human connection of it is like so underestimated, because you can send 1,000 like cold emails and never get a reply. But when you have a chat with somebody and they get a sense of who you are, then when you reach out, it's a completely different dynamic. And it's like, you know, being a fellow is really such a luxury for me, because as a freelance producer and like working with emerging choreographers and all of that, it's like, it is expensive to go to these things. You know, you have to pay for your flight, your accommodation, and then the tickets like to attend the conference are also expensive. So it's like, in order to justify investing that money into building a network, then I feel like I would need to have like an outcome, not an outcome, but go with like, okay, I need to speak with this person, that person, and have a little bit of a hit list. And, you know, maybe I will go with that strategy. But this time I was really like, let me just chat to anybody, like people that are behind me in line, or like, I'll just chat to anybody and just build connections, and then see from there if there's anybody that I align with. And it's like, if I had spent $5,000 to be there, I might not be that relaxed about it, you know? So
it's kind of like spending a lot of money is like opposite to networking, because you got to be relaxed and just let it happen naturally. You can't be like, hi, I'm going to be friends with 5 people after today. It doesn't really work like that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's been such a great learning experience, and like I met really amazing, interesting people that are doing really great work, and you know, in different places in the world. And like, you know, ISPA has basically they have every January, they have their conference in New York, and then they have a second conference in the summer every year that like changes place every year. So let's say the next one is in Lugano in Switzerland. After that, it's in Singapore. After that, it's in Sweden. So, you know, I know that it's an investment, but I think depending on where you're at in your career, like if you're a producer or even an artist and you want to start touring and you want to start getting your work out there, like I think attending those like industry events is really important in like the effort of building your network and building connections. That, you know, the thing that's difficult is that they may or may not lead to something, but
that's why it has to be organic, because if they don't, you don't want to be like, oh, that was a waste of time.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, at the end of the day, it's like a lot of the people, like I would say probably no one who works in the arts is doing it for the money or, you know, like, because it's great working conditions. Like everyone is there because they're passionate about what they do. Like there's actually a lot of people that have so many shared interests and shared vision and shared values. So it's actually not that difficult to connect. It's just the opportunity to be in the room together. So yeah, it was really great. And I used to have like not anxiety, but like it used to stress me out, and I used to feel like such an imposter and just be in those rooms and want to like hide myself in. I went, the first like conference I ever went to, I went and locked myself in a stall in the bathroom. Like I didn't have to pee, but I was just like, don't leave. Okay, you can do this, just because I felt so uncomfortable and awkward. And it's like, the more I'm doing it, the more comfortable I'm getting. So like networking and talking to people is also a skill. So I think if you don't feel comfortable doing it, don't discard it as like, oh, I'm not comfortable. Like I'm not good at that. I don't do that. It's like,
I feel the same about social media.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. That or get a boyfriend that does social media. Yeah. So I think it's like, it's a skill like anything. So if it's part of your career in some way, it is a skill set that is good to develop. So yeah, big up to ISPA and Arts Council. I'm going to go to Lugano this summer.
Nice.
And then New York again. And for the next 3 years, just have my little adventures.
Lovely.
And you know, maybe there's listen, if there's things that come from the capsule, from those things, you'll be the first one to hear about it.
Loyal listeners.
And then I came back from that, and then I was in residency. Well, actually, Max's residency started because I'm producing for Silk. His residency started when I was in New York. So sometimes life happens like that as well, that like things just everything at the same time. But yeah, so he started his residency when I was in New York, and then so I came back, and then there was a week left. They had their Sharing at Breaking convention. He was here to speak about it. And then we did 1 week at Dance East after the Breaking convention.
Which is in Ipswich.
Yeah. Big up to Dance East for supporting us with space and just general great really support from the team. Yeah. They're like, they've supported so many artists. I think they're an amazing organization that are just really supportive of the like emerging voices.
Yeah, nice. We love that.
So we did a week there, and you know, like this is building on Orselina, like the residency that we had last May to start developing the work. And you know, that residency was really about just like throwing a bunch of ideas and not necessarily getting too attached to anything, but throwing everything on the wall and seeing what sticks. And then there's a few things that stuck. So this second residency was really about like, you know, finding, like developing a choreographic language, finding the ideas that were going to be the main like thread of the piece. And yeah, like, you know, we also were working with new dancers. And yeah, I think, you know, for creating theater work, like fortunately and unfortunately, it takes a really long time to create. Like from when we started to when we're going to premiere a full length work, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like 2 years or
and
more.
lots of different versions of the piece.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like, okay, you do 3 weeks of residency, you have something, and then you like apply for funding, look for partners, and then you get to work on it again in 6 months. And then you go through that cycle, like maybe a few times until like you have a show that's ready. Because now it's like, okay, we have a lot of R&D material that's created or that we've worked on, but now we actually have to create a show. And then after we create a show, we actually have to add the production. So like the lights, the costume design, the set design. So it's like, that's going to need another thing even after the piece is created.
Choreography is done,
Yeah. But, you know, it's great also in a sense that if it was back to back, like maybe you wouldn't have time to like take a distance from it and
which
look.
You need also.
Yeah, look at it not a bit more objectively, but sometimes when you're like this, with your work, it's kind of hard to detach and to gain perspective.
Yeah, things have got to settle. Like artistic ideas, you need time to like, okay, we tried that. How do I feel about it after a few weeks?
Yeah, so I think the ability to step away from something and come back into it is like difficult in a sense that you always have to generate the momentum. But it's also great in a sense that like even, you know, with time, as Max is getting like different experiences, different blah, 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 these things are also feeding in to the work. So it's growing as he's growing. So yeah, I think we're in a really good place. I'm really excited about how it's going to keep on developing. Now we're going to get into the next phase of getting partners, raising money, blah, 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 to have the next phase. But
so if anyone is listening and wants to pitch in.
Yeah. But yeah, so thank you so much to Breaking Convention, Dance East, and Arts Council for supporting the R&D of this work. It's really exciting. And, you know, I think it's like you see, I mean, listen, there is so many reasons why Far From the Norm are successful. Like, I think Botis is great. I also think Lee is amazing. But, you know, the fact that he's like doing so well for me is also proof that like there are more interesting voices that are coming from hip hop and street dance.
Definitely.
And like Botis is amazing, and there are also a bunch of other artists that are amazing. And you know that there's kind of a wide range of different works that can emerge from street dance, not just like, oh, well, we have Far From the Norm. We already did program the hip hop company.
Yeah.
Like, I think the same way that you wouldn't say like, oh, well, we have Pina Bausch. We already have a contemporary company. We don't need another one.
Yeah. It's like not being the token act. It's like being kind of seeing the scene for the variety that it does have.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like excited for that, to, you know, like develop the work to bring another, you know, artist from a hip hop background, and hopefully continue to work with more. As I continue to grow and develop and be able to be a better producer, support more artists. That's a goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sick. We love that.
Thanks.
Shout out to Dance East, Breaking Convention, ISPA,
Arts
Jenny
Council
Lou.
England.
Arts Council England, Jenny
The Capsule.
Lou, the Capsule.
Supporting me through everything.
Supporting you through everything. Supporting
Respect.
me through everything.
Yeah.
All right, cool. We're going to wrap because we're actually about to record next week's episode.
Oh.
And there's a goat in the building. Not telling you who it is yet. But yeah.
We're not doing it. Okay.
We haven't got time. But yeah, guys, thanks for everyone for tuning into the Juste Debout live stream. Check out all the videos on our channel. Please tell any and all event organizers that you know about what we do. We would love to do it more, but we need them to reach out and to want to work with us. So please spread the word. Word of mouth is super powerful and it makes a big difference. So yeah, that would be massive.
Follow, like, and subscribe if you haven't already.
So wants to be a YouTuber.
Yeah, I do.
Smash that subscribe button.
Yeah, you just won't do my... If you did my tech, I would be a YouTuber.
So you wouldn't be a YouTuber. You just...
I wouldn't. I could be a superstar streamer. Have a good week.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. Peace.